this is Brian with Aerial Media Pros, and today I'm going to show you how to bind a Futaba 8FG with a DJI Phantom.
Now this is what you'll get inside the 8FG box. Now you might ask why you might upgrade to this as opposed to keeping the stock radio that comes with your Phantom. With this radio system you'll get improved range, that being around a half mile to 3/4 mile, as opposed to about 200 to 300 yards with the stock radio. Also, you will be able to program different channels to different switches. I'll go over how to do that later in this video. Also, you could bind multiple copters to this, up to 20. So, you could get up to 20 different Phantoms or different copters in general, and bind it to the single radio. So you don't need to get multiple radios for multiple copters that you might have in the future. Also, you'll feel once you pick up this radio that it's a better, more durable radio. The joysticks and switches feel a lot more sturdy. It's a very well built radio. Futaba did a great job with this. Now next I'm going to open up the Phantom and show you how to put this little receiver inside and how to make everything work. Now on the underside of your Phantom you'll need to remove 12 different Allen screws and 4 different Phillips screws. So the Allens are 1, 2, 3. Then on each arm you'll see it's in the same exact spot. Now the Phillips is at the end of each arm. Each one's there. So you're going to want to remove those first. Now be careful removing each Allen screw, because you don't want to remove these 4. That's actually where the motor is going to be mounted. So you just want to remove those 2 and that one right there. Now when you've removed each of the necessary screws, be careful lifting off the top shell, because the GPS is located on the top shell, so you want to be careful and not to just yank it out. It's going to be right there. Now when you've opened up your Phantom and removed the GPS from the little EXP port, which is right there, right next to the LED, you could just wrap the compass cable around and give yourself some slack. But this is the receiver module right here, and you're going to need to remove two small screws, which is right there and right there. I'm not sure if you can see that. 2 little screws, and that's the little antenna right there that you just could slide out. But yeah, go ahead and remove that. You'll see that this little servo cable is actually glued on to the other part of the board. You're going to need to take a small X-Acto knife and just slice that glue off. Now after you slice off that glue and take out this little white rubber piece, you'll be able to take out the little antenna. Just be careful when you do this. Now when you take out the antenna, I already took it out, but you want to be careful about this little capacitor when you take out the little antenna out of that little hole. Just try not to nick that. Now you don't need to replace this servo cable. If it has glue on it, it's pretty easy to actually just scratch it off with your fingernails or something. So some of you might not have an extra servo cable just lying around. Now this is the little Futaba receiver that comes with the 8FG. You're going to be connecting that little servo to the little, it says, I'm not sure if you can see it, but it says SBUS right there. That's the bottom one. It's the bottom servo lead. There it is. You're also going to need some double stick tape. I'm using two like relatively thicker sheets, just to lift it off of the board a little bit, to give some space between where the ESCs solder onto the board. So I just want to make sure it clears that. Now this is the back of the receiver. This is what it should look like. The servo should go in horizontally into the little receiver. So just make sure you do that correctly. Now this is how I mounted the receiver inside the Phantom. I used 2 double stick tapes right where the Phantom receiver was actually held before, and it's a large enough receiver. It's almost as big as the Naza, to where you can make that gap. But be careful when actually mounting it, because you don't want the receiver to actually be touching the Naza. You don't want to cause any unnecessary vibrations to the Naza. If it does touch, you're gonna quickly see that your Phantom's not gonna fly very well. I taped down these 2 little antennas just so when you close up the shell, the 2 little antennas, they're not gonna get caught on this. So next step, we're gonna want to bind the receiver and the radio together. So just go ahead and open up the battery tray and just put in the battery. And go ahead and turn it on. Oh, that blinking is because the default setting is a helicopter, and that's just an idle. So first thing, let's go over the programming of this. So first thing you're going to need to do is make sure that it's going to be in airplane mode, not helicopter. You'll see that by the little picture right there. So you want to double click to LNK, that means link. I'm going to do a model type and change that to airplane. Then you want to go to execute and yes, and hold that. You don't want to change anything here, just leave that as is. Double click link to go back. Down here, the model selection tab, in the linkage menu, you'll see that so if you're here, double click link, model select, go to model 1. You could rename this to whatever you'd like. I'm going to click enter. Then you could click link again and go back. Cool. Make sure that the radio is on and just plug in the battery. Now, if that LED should turn green, that means that it's a good connection, and you could move on to the next step. If not, and it's still blinking, you're going to need to click that link module button with a small little tool, and you'll just hold that down and it'll search for something. Then you turn on the receiver, or I mean the radio, then it'll bind. So once you have your receiver and radio bound, you're going to want to put everything back together. Now, first things first, you're going to want to connect the little GPS cable at the top of the shell back into the EXP port of the Naza. If I could do that. There it goes. Make sure it's all the way in. Also, you're going to want to make sure that these 2 little sticker placements are at the front where the battery tray is. So everything's going to match up when you put your stickers on. Before you actually close down on anything, you want to give yourself some slack on the compass cable for the compass cable to reach the compass at the bottom of the landing gear. So you just don't want to crimp on anything. Make sure that's inside. That should be enough. Just double check that you're not going to hit any other cables on the outside. Now you're ready to put it back together. So after you have your Phantom and radio bound together, you're almost ready to program it. So first thing you're going to want to do is make sure that you don't have any props or the prop nuts on the Phantom itself when connecting to the computer. This is just a precaution I like to take because sometimes the motors might fire up, and that's not a good thing when you're working this close with it. So after you have your USB connected, and you want to make sure that the radio is on, then just go ahead and connect the power, and it'll be good to go.
Now, unfortunately, I forgot to film this part, but anyways, once you have your phantom battery connected, you're going to want to go ahead and do an upgrade to the latest firmware. The latest firmware right now, it's 3.16, and as you can see, mine is already 3.16. But when you upgrade, you're going to want to make sure that all the settings are correct, because there's a slight problem with the firmware. It might reset everything. So in the aircraft tab, the DJI Phantom is a quad rotor X. The mounting, we're not changing the GPS location, so it should be 000. Now for the RC, the stock radio receiver is PPM. Go ahead and change that to DBus. Then once you have that selected, you could do a command stick calibration, and go ahead and start it. Then just run through the movements of the sticks. Now, once you've done that, you're going to want to make sure that each control, aileron, elevator, throttle, rudder, everything's going in the right direction. And if it's not, just go ahead and click the norm or reverse. So just make sure everything's right. And then for the throttle, make sure that at the half stick mark on your radio is actually at the half stick of in the assistant. So just go ahead and double check that everything's correct, and yeah. Now in the gain tab, I'm not going to change anything, so I'm just going to leave it stock, everything at 100.
So in the Futaba radio, I'm going to show you how to do the control switch, but first we need to do a few other things. So just go ahead and double click link, and in the linkage menu you want to select the first one, which is servo, and the default, I believe that your throttle is going to be controlling 2 channels. You don't want that. You're going to want to disengage channel 6. You'll see that right there. So the way you do that, you want to go back, double click link, and go to function. It was channel 6, and it says the control is J3. Just go ahead and select that, and we don't want anything, so we're going to deselect. Cool. So in the servo menu, now you will see that your throttle is correct, and it's only in the third one. Cool. So in the linkage menu, I'm going to show you how to bind the GPS attitude or manual mode to whichever switch you want to program it to. So you want to go to function, and it should be channel 7, aux 5. You're not going to want to touch any of those. You want to go to the control, and the one in the middle, go ahead and select that, and you could program which switch you want to do to control which mode it's in. My personal favorite's the SE, which is right here, SE, and select that, and it's selected. Now in the assistant, not sure if you can see that, but when I flip the switch back and forth, it's controlling the control mode switch, and I'm going to need to change the endpoints. And the way I'm going to do that is get out of the function menu, go back to the linkage menu, go to endpoints, scroll down to channel 7, aux 5, and this may be a little bit different on yours, but on the two 135 endpoints, I'm gonna change that to 80, and I feel like it should work. Scroll down to 80. Now double check. You just flip the switch back and forth and check in the Naza assistant, and make sure the little arrow is pointing at which mode it should be. So you want to make sure it's in the box, and you want to make sure that it is blue. So now I'm going to show you how to do a program mix, that to program your failsafe. It's a manual failsafe mode. Let's say your copter's acting a little bit funny, and you want it to land back home. So in the linkage menu, you're going to want to select MOL on the side, double click that, and scroll down to Prog Mix. That's a program mix. Click that. The first line, you want to select that. Scroll down to the next page. It says activate. It's inhibited, so you want to go ahead and act that. And this little dash dash is which switch you want it to be for it to enter your failsafe mode. So go ahead and select that. I'm going to do SD. Choose SD. And there it is. On, off, select that. Now test your switch. Fully up should be off, off, on. You're good there. That's the way I like it. So click return. Oops. Yeah, return. Okay. Now since if you remember which switch SE was on, it was channel 7 and it was aux 5. You want to change the master and slave to aux 5. It's going to be aux 5 and aux 5. So that's how you set up your program mix. Go back up to the next page. This part gets a little bit tricky because there are no exact numbers for this. So this requires you to do a little bit of tinkering yourself. So right now I'm in attitude mode, and I want to activate my failsafe. You'll see right here that when it's off, off, and on, I want to activate that. And you'll see that little arrow. I'm gonna be changing that one, going up and down and looking inside the assistant until that little arrow goes into a failsafe box. Okay, there it is. Now I'm going to switch it to attitude mode in the middle SE switch, and this one you'll see that there's no actual arrow, so I just like to go to the next one down and see which way it moves. Now it didn't go positive, so I have the ability to go negative, you'll see, and there you will see the little arrow going to the failsafe. So it looks like negative 90 is going to be working for me. And last one says the GPS. I'll change that. Make sure that everything is in the box. Cool. So the way to make sure that each mode goes into a failsafe, just make sure that your SD switch is on, and switch between the modes on your SE that controls each mode. So you just want to go back and forth between each one and make sure that it will enter a failsafe box. And it looks like I'm good on all 3 modes there. So go ahead and turn off the failsafe and everything should be normal. And that's how you correctly do a manual failsafe mode. So next thing I'm going to do is program the X2 to a switch that can. The X2 will be controlling the intelligent orientation control, the course lock, and home lock on your radio. So I'm going to show you how to do that. In the basic tab in the RC, you wanna look at the monitor. Make sure that you're looking at that, the X2. Now on your radio, go ahead and double click the link. Scroll down to the function. Second page, it should be VPP. You're not going to need to change any of that. The control, I like that to be at the SB switch. So I'm going to go ahead and choose SB. And you'll see right here that when I go back and forth, it moves. And that's exactly what I want. So in the Naza assistant, I'm going to go ahead and enable the intelligent orientation control. And why isn't that moving? Sorry about that. Now I forgot that you're going to need to do a compass calibration before you could actually enable the intelligent orientation control. It's not going to be moving even if you try to select it. So we're going to go outside and do a compass calibration really fast. So just came back from the little compass calibration, and you'll see now that right where I was at, I programmed that to the SB, the X2 to the XB, so that works. Now in the Advanced tab, in the Naza Assistant, you'll see that it works. Now I prefer all my switches in the up position to be off or something like that. So you'll see that when the SB is all the way up, it's actually at home lock. Now to change that, I'm going to go to the link menu. I'm going to go to reverse. And if you remember, it was channel 6, the VPP, and I'm going to select that and click reverse. Now, on my assistant, you'll see that that is off, and that's in the up position just the way I like it. It's home lock, that's course lock. That works. Cool. And that's how you do the X2. Okay, now after you think that you have everything correctly programmed, I just like to go and run through each tab and make sure everything is correct. So in the basic tab, I'm going to go to aircraft, make sure that's correct. 000 in the mounting tab, that is correct. The stick calibrations, I want to make sure that is correct, and I do that by going like that and making sure everything moves in the correct direction. That's right. Gains, everything's 100, that's good enough for me. Motors, that is correct. I didn't change any of this. Okay, and intelligent orientation control, I bound it to SB, off, course lock, and home lock. I'm good there. Gimbal, there's no gimbal on this copter. Voltage, Phantom takes a 3S LiPo, and that's what I have selected. Oh, almost forgot. That's why you double check. I forgot to check the failsafe. So I'm in GPS mode, failsafe, and it switches. Turn that off. Attitude mode, failsafe. That works. And last attitude and failsafe. That works. Sweet. And now I'm ready to go test fly. And now I'm ready to do a test flight with the 8FG and the Phantom. Now before plugging in the Phantom battery, I mean, same thing with the stock radio, you want to make sure that your new Futaba radio is on before you plug in the battery. So just be careful and you'll be good. You could do a regular motor startup by something like that, and it will start just like the stock Phantom. So here you go. And as you can see, it works perfectly. So, be careful flying, guys, and happy flying.